Chamath, Oprah, and Elon, part 7. So in part 6, I talked about um, the idea of identity and how Oprah, Chamath, and Elon, how it becomes core to their identity to do new things and make breakthroughs and basically level up and succeed. And I want to talk about how the three of them, Oprah, Elon, and Chamath, deal with resistance. Because before you can have a breakthrough, because we all are subject to conditionings, what happens is, like, when we start to expand our thinking and start going up to that higher frequency and take it out as our identity and start to do those actions that are consistent with that new identity and the higher frequency, we have a lot of pushback, like our ego and our conditionings. A lot of times, a lot of people in our life say, no, you can't do that. Don't think you're a big shot. Don't think that you're better than other people. Oprah talked about this specifically. She said that she used to shrink back when people said, you're so full of yourself. But then she learned over time to actually, she says now she thinks of it as a compliment, because when you're full of yourself, it means you're overflowing and you have a lot to give. If you're not full, then you don't have anything to give. And I think that I learned a lot of the same things. I learned, like, so many people in my life said, you just want to be famous, you just want to be better than other people. And I let it bother me, because even though I knew in my heart that wasn't true, that what other people said mattered to me, I made what other people think more important, I think, because I thought other people were smarter than me. I didn't have enough confidence that I could make my own decisions. And let's focus on Chamath, Oprah, and Elon, how they deal with resistance. So Elon has dealt with a lot of resistance, like especially the short sellers. They try to put him out of business. And how did Elon deal with that? He at the beginning, he dealt with it by getting angry. He used to say, like, the short sellers are stupid, and I can understand that, because when you know you're brilliant and other people are, like, trying to put you out of business, and for years and years, even though you get results, I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way, because it's a different paradigm shift. Like, Tesla is valued like a technology company, not like an automobile company. So when you compare it to all the other automobile companies, it doesn't make sense why Tesla has such a huge valuation. I mean, it does make sense when you think of them as a technology company and the role of autonomous and everything else innovative that they're doing. But Elon used to get angry, but I think, success has its own rewards. Like, as he's now the richest or second richest person in the world, depending upon how his stock does every day, compared to Jeff Bezos and Amazon, he seems more comfortable in his own skill. He's joking around more. Like, Elon used to take a lot of things personally. I think that happens. I notice with myself, like, I can be more generous when things are going well for me. I mean, it takes a lot of character, which I work on also, that no matter how things are going, you can still be, generous of spirit. Because the more confidence in the faith you have, it's just a matter of time. Like, if things are heading in the right direction, that's where I think dealing with the resistance comes from. Because if you know that you understand something of where the market is going, or you have an idea that other people don't have, and you understand why the market is moving in that direction, you can afford to be patient, you can afford to be generous, because in some sense you almost have to feel sorry for the short sellers, because they've lost so much money, so many, billions of dollars. And Elon, I think, he kind of takes it like a little bit more in jest now. Like, he made those shorts, that he sells. He's making money off the shorts, because in that way also, because it's kind of like, it's funny to him that people could be so ridiculous, I think, to actually short him when he's so successful. And Oprah, a lot of people made fun of Oprah, but she's jealous. And I think for Oprah, one of her key issues has been her weight. And I think she talks a lot about her weight is kind of like, I'm kind of a little bit putting words in her mouth. She kind of says it, but not exactly this way. But this is how I kind of interpret what she's saying. She says that basically a weight has been like her control, like all of her life, like, exceeded her expectations. And her weight was kind of like something that she could have a little bit more, control over. And it was like the last part of her identity that hadn't gotten up to the rest of her identity. The rest of her identity was like so superlative that she held on to like a little bit of like something holding her back. And I think a lot of us do that. Like, a lot of us like excel in a lot of areas, but then we have like one like limitation or one like thing that really, holds on to her old identity. It's hard to give up old identities because we feel like we're going to be nothing. Like we're so entrenched. Like that's why the key to success is really having flexibility of mind. Like Elon, he grew up in a environment with his mother and his grandparents that they were like adventurers. They were always trying new things. I think when that becomes part of your identity, it makes it easier to let go of the past. Like one thing that I've trained myself to think, and it comes more naturally now, is that when I try my hardest, because it's not good to like be self-defeatist and purposely lose, but when I lose something, when something is taken away from me, even though I try my hardest, I get in a way almost excited because I'm like, oh, I've outgrown this. That's why life is taken away from me. It means that I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready for the next step. And I think there's a lot of truth to that because I think that like we do outgrow things. We outgrow things, and we don't know when that's going to be. Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's a lot later than what we think. Because a lot of times it takes a lot more time to get to the next level than what we expect. But I think, Elon, like he's always like graduating to new ideas. He's always redoing things. Like a couple of examples, like he went to Russia. He thought he was going to buy rockets from the Russians. But then, he realized that the Russians really didn't have that great a system. He's going to have to do it on his own. He realized he was going to have to do reusable rockets on his own. And he at the beginning, he was doing all robots and hardly any humans in the manufacturing. And he realized that wasn't working, so he had to revise it. So Elon's all about iteration, like trying new things. I think Chamath, like he's reinvented himself. Like he said, he was a certain way early in his career, and then he was a certain way at Facebook, and he learned a lot. He's always open to new ideas. It's kind of like he could have stayed at Facebook. He said in an interview that Zuckerberg didn't pay him as much money as he wanted. But he hasn't been afraid. Like he didn't think to himself, oh my gosh, I'm making so much money at Facebook, I can never leave here. He realized like I'm a person that grows and I'm always trying new things. And I think Oprah's been the same way. Like she did her talk show for 20-something years, but then she started her own network. And I think people that are very successful, they learn how to deal with that resistance, both from the outside world and the inside world. Because if you conquer the inside world, then what people say on the outside doesn't really matter so much.